Our P&D plans this year had a literacy, they all have a literacy, numeracy and engagement focus, and this year only literacy was a mandated area, but next year we're looking at mandating that one of the foci of the P&D plans be behaviour management. So, just to keep people on track with thinking about it. And in our PLTs, we use PLT inquiry projects, and in these you need to identify a challenge. They sort of even though they're circular, they start over with the challenge, and you identify a challenge. So the plan is that next year, if we say, rather than you just need to do an inquiry project, but at some stage during the year you have to do an inquiry project on behaviour management, you would say, my challenge is that, the 8A boys don't listen. And, you decide what the learning focus of that is, that, you want them to listen any time that you're doing reading of a particular type. And it goes on from there. You identify who can help you, how you'll decide whether if you're coming up with a strategy. I'm going to use, one of my people is going to be Ramon Lewis. He doesn't have to be there. You can just look at his information. And the data that you're going to collect is that you're going to keep track of how attentive they are before you start your hinting. Presumably it's going to be a strategy that you're working on, and you work through what's worked. You need to collect a couple of forms of data. It might be student surveys at the beginning, student surveys at the end. It might be getting somebody in for a peer observation. And then you summarise your findings, and then you share what findings you've got and your change in practice at the PLT, so that if I've discovered that something I thought would work really did not work at all, the next person might want to still try it, but they might go, well, I'm going to try something slightly different so that I'm not wasting my time. Or if somebody's found something really worked, they might as well go with that. And that's in the same place on the wiki under Sharedays, if anybody else wants to use it. The future for us is that we probably have to, every semester, every 3 times a year, probably have some sort of opportunity for people to practice the language again and refine what they're doing. That the whole process of remembering what to say and how to say it is really, really ongoing. And saying not just the things to do with warnings, but the things that build relationships, the things that get kids talking about themselves and what their interests are, so that so that they feel more connected to the teachers. Then we want to develop some more of those tools. Like I said, now I obviously should have said it, recording a DVD, but just recording ideas that work, in capturing them in some sort of format that we can share them. Now, we've talked about that, but we actually think that's really hard to do. And I wasn't here at the beginning because I was actually at a coaching PD, but I don't know whether other schools showed video of people actually carrying out sort of behaviour management practices. And our staff are, they're a bit more happy with the idea of being videotaped doing a literacy strategy or something like that. But it sort of touches a bit too much of a nerve for people to be videotaped disciplining a child, and so they're just not so keen on that, and we've got to sort of possibly nurture a few people to do that. Like I said, the PLT, the sharing successes at PLT meetings has been really good, and we will be looking at continuing to do that. There's and I think somebody was talking about it just before, about the identifying of whether kids are C's or D's and what's the most appropriate way of responding to the behaviour. And we probably need some more work on whether your reaction has actually pushed the C child into being a D child, or whether the D child can be pulled back to being a C child with a bit more of that, the nurturing and building of sort of a relationship with them. We need to work on our individualised plans, and we need to build, some things into our curriculum to cope with D students. We actually really think we've probably got a lot less D students than some teachers think, because I think it's probably... Ooh, that was going to be bad. The kid responding to the subject rather than, and so therefore responding to the actual work that they're expected to do, rather than being a part of the student's personality. Like I said, we need to finish our new code of conduct, and then we're looking at having meetings at the beginning of next year so as to take the attitude into the community. We're looking at having meetings with the parents at the beginning of the year so that the parent and student and one of the teachers will go through the code of conduct and a couple of other things to do with using the internet and all that sort of stuff at a meeting at the beginning of the year, and the parents will actually sign off on that and know that that's the strategy we're using, and that we've moved to this view of students being responsible and having needing to have their rights and the rights of others respected at school, and for it to become a community attitude. The other thing that we're working on is where we go with a few people at work have done sort of coaching courses, and where we go with that and where that fits in terms of helping people develop their the skills that they've already got and the things that they already know they can do, but actually building their confidence with using those. And in our PLTs to really use we're looking at using conversation protocols to sort of guide those conversations and to make sure everybody gets their chance to contribute. And I haven't got any photos, but you're probably really, really glad because it's lunchtime. So if anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them.